Hello everybody, this is Citizen Slave. Welcome back to another episode of Space Engineers Let's Play Survival, version 1.190.101. We are back at the ice station. You can see I've finished a lot of the bits that I was working on in the last episode that we were here. I've also added a large cargo container on my recent return trip. I brought some cobalt to get the metal grids and do that. And that obnoxious no fuel warning is because we are quickly fluctuating back and forth between running off of the solar panels and running off the battery, and I have the reactors off. It would be really nice if I could turn that warning off, but I'm not going to turn the reactor on and waste uranium on powering this thing when I don't need to. So I apologize for that. You're just going to have to tolerate it. So what we're going to do today is we are going to work on coding this up so that it runs more automatically. The way that this is working is these pistons extend out with the drills on the end, and then we retract them back, push this piston down a little bit, and then extend the pistons again. And in this way we are drilling out this hole, and mostly for the ice, but we're getting a ton of stone and therefore a bunch of other resources from it as well. We will eventually have to redesign this drill head a little bit so that we can stretch out even further, because you can see we've got some ice here that we are not able to reach at the current extent of the pistons. Anyway, I've got the bits and pieces for a programmable block in my inventory here. So I need to get that on my hotbar. Where is it? There. And get that built. And I think an appropriate place to build it is going to be right up against the cargo block, or the cargo container here, on the pylon that reaches out to the solar panels. So that's where we're going to stick that. And then I am actually going to sit in the cockpit here while I work on this, just so that I don't have to worry about energy and oxygen and stuff while we're doing it. Unfortunately, that means we're definitely going to be listening to that warning. So I have prefixed all of the ice station bits with IS1. This is ice station 1. So this is going to be IS1 controller. And the first thing we need to do is we need to get some variables for all of our various bits. So we need a list of my extended piston base. This is going to be radial pistons. Alright, I lied. I am going to turn on the reactor, because that's going to get super annoying. And it's one thing if I'm the only one that has to listen to it. It's quite another if I'm forcing all of you to listen to it as well. At least it stops when the game's frozen. Semicolon expected. Yeah, of course it is. Small reactor. That's on? I thought that was off. If I turn you off, will you shut up? No. What if I turn the solar panels off? I just want you to stop telling me no fuel. There actually is fuel, though, is the thing. See? That's fuel. That's what that is. I mean, I can make there be no fuel if that's really what you want. And of course, it's just going to suck it back in. That was a waste of time. I really don't want to waste a bunch of time trying to get this to shut up. What if I put this battery into discharge? Nope, still doesn't shut it up. I should not have to do this. I tried HUD warnings. HUD warnings doesn't make a difference. Of course, now it doesn't even look like it's saying it. Whatever. Anyway, S1 controller. So we've got a list for our radial pistons. These are the ones that extend out either direction. Next, we need a list. No, I don't need a list. I just need my extended piston base. The elevation piston. My extended piston base. Drill rotor. And then need the drills. List my ship drills. And what else? Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have a list of my terminal block cargo containers. This is actually going to end up including the drills again, deliberately, but I also want the large cargo container in the connector. And this is just me being OCD about how I arrange things. Okay, drills, cargo containers, radial pistons, elevation piston, drill rotor. I think that's everything we need. I really don't like the initial formatting of this because it makes it look all weird when I copy it into GitHub. In any case, the drills we don't want to pick up the drills on the Mega Miner by mistake. You know what? I'm going to pull that out. Because we're going to use that a lot, and retyping it every time and taking up space to do it is not how I want to do that. So we're going to filter out based on what's connected. Excuse me. Now, I say we're going to use that a couple times, but I think we're actually not specifically. Oh well, we'll pull it out anyway. Next, we need to do grid terminal system dot get blocks of type cargo containers, because we got to do extra stuff on this one. So if it's not connected, we don't want it. If it doesn't have an inventory, we don't want it. I think that's actually it, because we want, that's going to give us drills, that's going to give us cargo container, and it's going to give us connector, and that's all it's going to give us, and that's everything we want. So that's fine. That means that past that, we want to return true. That's going to give us all the cargo containers because we need to assess our cargo space, and we need to stop the drills and the pistons once the cargo is full. And at that point, we'll be waiting for something to come along and pick it all up. Now, when we're drilling while the ship is attached, it's going to be shifting stone into the refinery, and then all the ingots and whatnot are going to end up staying on the mega miner. But at this point, we have to move the ice out manually, and I want to keep it that way, I think, because I don't necessarily know where on the connected ship I'm going to want to put it. So we'll just move stuff out manually, but when it gets full, we'll have to do that, and for the most part, we're not actually going to have a ship connected here when it fills up, because the idea is that this will just kind of run, and then we'll stop by, pick up everything, and then leave. So that gets our cargo containers. Now this might be a little bit tricky. To get the radial pistons in particular. But I think I know how to do it. Because these are the radial pistons are technically on a different grid than the programmable block, because the programmable block is on the main ice station grid, and the elevation piston that goes up and down is also attached to that grid, but then everything after that is technically on a different subgrid. Everything after the rotor is also on a different subgrid after that, and then the drills are on yet another subgrid after that. So there's 1, 2, 3, like 5 subgrids, I think, if I'm counting that right. So the basic idea here is that we're going to want to get the pistons that are not on the same grid as the programmable block. Now the is connected to is same construct as includes subgrids. So like everything on the other end of a piston or a rotor is included in is same construct as me. That'll still return true. But if we use terminal system get blocks of type radial pistons, if we say return block dot cube grid equals me dot cube grid. The cube grid, I think, is the actual particular subgrid that the block is a part of. So this will only return, oh, wait a minute, we actually want that to be not equal, because this is the radial pistons, not equal to me.cube grid, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what we want. Okay, so that's going to get the radial pistons. And I actually want to check that before I go much further here. So for each, wow, my fingers were in the wrong location. Terminal block in radial pistons echo block dot custom name. So this should output the name. Well, okay. When we fix all of the myriad problems in it, it should output the name. 18. For each terminal block in radial pistons. Oh, I know how to write code. Oh, I declared it as static and then I'm trying to refer to me. I can't do that. Not static. Never used. Okay, that's fine. I don't care. We'll use it in a minute. It still got us the... Oh, that's because it's not on the same grid. So that's working correctly. I just forgot about the piston that's attached to the drills on the Mega Miner. Not a problem. We can fix that. So what we want to do is say it's not on the same cube grid and it is on the same construct. So this will limit it to things that are on subgrids of the same main grid. So if it's on the other side of a connector, it won't pick it up. But if it's on the other side of a piston or a rotor, it will pick it up. There we go. That's what we wanted it to do. So block.cubeGrid does not equal me.cubeGrid says it's not on the same subgrid as the programmable block, but block.is same construct as me requires it to be on the same overall grid construction as the programmable block, as in not on the other side of a connector. So it has to be on a subgrid, not on a separate grid, if that makes sense. All right, so we're done with this now. We can get rid of it. Now, a lot of times when I'm doing things with just a single part rather than a list, I will actually get it by name, but I don't really think that's the best way to do this sort of thing, especially if you're writing code that could theoretically end up being used on a different construction. You're better off doing the get blocks of type and using a filter. So rather than actually doing the get block with name, I'm going to do another get blocks of type and filter it, and then I'm going to assign the presumably one item to this variable because there's no reason to save and pass around a list, but we do need a list to start with. Oh, and this actually shouldn't be an extended piston base. Congratulations to everybody who noticed that already. Because that's not a piston, that's a rotor. We do need a temporary list though, because it has to save it into something. Now this needs to be on the same subgrid. And if it's on the same subgrid, it is already on the same construct, so we don't have to worry about the second part. So then we can say if temp pistons dot count equals 1, then elevation piston equals temp pistons sub-0. Else throw new exception too many elevation pistons. And that's just because if we do end up getting extra pistons for some reason, if there's more than one piston built on the original, the initial subgrid, then it won't know which one's which and we'll have to adjust. So next, we need a list my motor. Are we gonna get hit? We just got hit. And I said it would never happen. Looks like it only hit one solar panel. That could have been worse. Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. That's pretty intense. Yeah, that literally just knocked out one solar panel. Alright. Well, we will rebuild it. Not bigger, stronger, faster or anything. Pretty much exactly the same, actually. But so we need 4 steel plates. 32 of those. 12 of those. And we need 14 construction components and 4 computers. Huh. No, that's the first time we've ever been actually hit by a meteor. As many meteor storms incoming or inbound as we've had, we've yet to actually be hit by one until today. How exciting. And I don't know that no fuel thing's happening anymore. I don't know why. I assume it's because I put the batteries in discharge mode, so it's not even trying to read anything now, and there was just a lag when I did it initially, and it was still giving me a couple of those warnings. Oh, forgot the bulletproof glass. Which, I mean, clearly didn't help with the meteor strike. Whoa, I got myself all disoriented there. Alright, back to coding. The joys of doing scripting tutorials in survival mode. Okay, so where were we? This is not solar panel 5. This is IS1 solar panel 4. Do I have a group? No, I don't have a group. Okay, cool. IS1 controller. Now, grid terminal system dot get blocks of type temp rotors block. Because it's not on the same subgrid here anymore because it's on the other end of the piston. Hopefully that'll just be the only one. We don't have to worry about it. At least that's going to be the expectation. if temp rotors dot count equals 1, drill rotor equals temp rotors sub 0, else throw new exception too many drill rotors. Okay, so now we've got all of our bits. Got the drills, only the connected ones, so not the Mega Miners drills. We've got all the cargo containers, got all the pistons, the radial pistons. Then we've got the elevation piston. Then we've got the drill rotor. All right, so I think that's all we need there. Do we need this? I don't think we do. I don't think we need a save method at all, so I'm just going to delete that entirely. And I'm going to fix the formatting here. Oh, one thing I forgot. Runtime.update frequency. We want to do this every 100 ticks. We don't need to do it more often than that, I don't think. Excuse me. All right. So the first thing that I want to do is a cargo check. And just like with the Mega Miner, we're going to pass in a fill ratio here so that we can set what percentage of it we want full. One will be completely full, and we'll probably not actually get to that point because of idiosyncrasies with how the stuff fills up. So we'll do like 0.95 probably, because we don't have to worry about these drills filling unevenly. Well, that's not true. We kind of do. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Anyway, so we're basing this off of cargo containers. So float max volume 0, float current volume 0 for each terminal block in cargo containers. No, I'm going to call that container. In cargo containers, max volume plus equals cast to float of container dot get inventory 0 dot max volume. And then current volume. No, I'm going to remove this. So I don't have to do it twice. Plus equals cast to float inventory dot current volume. So for each container, get the inventory, add the max volume, add the current volume. Then yeah, I'm going to go ahead and echo it. And I'm going to rename this variable again. I did the same thing last time. Max fill ratio equals current volume divided by max volume. Echo interpolated string current volume divided by max volume fill ratio times 100 to string and 2. Percent. Return fill ratio is greater than or equal to, wow, keys, max fill ratio. So then if cargo check 0.95F we'll start with, echo full, else echo not full. Yeah, typos. What's your problem? For the motor stator. Oh, yeah, I didn't actually return this. That would help. So that's that error. N2 does not exist in the current context. Screwed this up somehow. Don't think that was actually a curly brace. There we go. Not full. So we are 0.227% full here, which, since that's all that's in here, and we're not picking anything else up at this point except for an occasional little bit of stone that immediately gets shuffled out, because it's really just these 4 containers. That's the only inventories we have. So that's all we got. Now if I move this out into the Mega Miner's large cargo container, we're down to 0. So that's working. Perfect. Now, if we are full, we want to pause the drills. If we are not full, we want to update the drills. And pause drills is going to entail, I want to set up a toggle blocks function. I did this in the previous script for the Mega Miner. This is just a shortcut, really. Y would work, I just have to change things. I'm used to doing T. T is the kind of standard for your first generic type. Toggle blocks T of a list T of blocks Boolean toggle where T is a class and an I my functional block for each T block in blocks block dot enabled that right? Pause drills doesn't exist. No, it's because I called it pause drilling. Fine. Alright, cool. So what pause drilling is going to do is it is going to toggle blocks on the drills to off, and it is going to toggle blocks on the radial pistons to off. And I'm going to force that to run real quick here just to test it. Like that. So that should still be spinning, but the drills will stop. And if I check the pistons here, they are off, which is correct. Cool. So that is working correctly. Now I need to take that back out because I don't actually want that to run all the time. Instead, we want update drills to run all the time. And update drills is going to first toggle blocks drills to true, turn them back on. Toggle blocks radial pistons to true, turn those back on. So as long as it's full, these won't run, but once we empty cargo out, it'll immediately turn it back on. That'll be the first thing it does. It'll happen every time. But then we actually want to do some more intelligent type of checking. So we want to say if I'm going to do a for each here. We could really just rely on one of them and have them extend at the same pace and everything, but I'm going to go ahead just for the sake of being thorough, just do a for each and have them operate technically independently, but they should still be in sync. So for each of our radial pistons, if piston dot current position equals piston dot max limit, piston dot velocity equals minus 0.5. Else piston dot velocity equals 0.02 f. Alright, so that sets the radial pistons to do what they need to do. If they're fully extended, then we need to retract them more quickly than we extend them if they are not fully extended. Because I need to augment this a little bit. Oh, wait a minute. That's going to be a problem. Yeah, that's not going to work. Because this is going to say if it's at the max limit, pull it back, but then the next tick, it's not going to be at the max limit anymore, so it's going to push it back out. So that doesn't work. So we need to do else if piston dot current position equals piston dot min limit and elevation piston dot position equals elevation piston dot max limit. Huh. Because I'm changing the max limit each time. I might need some kind of state information here. I was hoping to avoid that. Let me think here for a second. Okay, so if it's fully extended, it needs to slow down. Or it needs to reverse, rather. I know that much. There's some way I can trick that. Because the issue here is that when I get it fully retracted, I need to extend the elevation piston a little bit more and then reverse the radial pistons to extend them back out. But I can't extend them back out until the elevation piston has reached its new max limit. And this is really it. Like, once we figure this out, that's all we need to worry about, because the pausing is done when the cargo's full. That's finished. So the update drills is just make sure that they're on, make sure the pistons are on, and then when it's fully extended, it needs to come back. And if it's not fully extended, or if it's fully retracted rather, it needs to push down and then push out, and it needs to continue pushing out then until it gets to the max limit, still it's fully extended. Yeah, I'm just going to save some state information here. I think that's the easiest way. Hmm. I think I can just do this as a Boolean, actually. I only need two states. That does mean I need a save function, though. I'll cope with that problem in a minute. Okay, so if current piston is max limit, then pull it back. That sorts out as false. Actually need a full block here. Okay, so set the velocity to reverse, set drill extending to false, else if not drill, no, if drill extending piston dot velocity equals 0.02f. So this is if we're actually moving our way out. Then, you know what, just for the sake of consistency here, I'll create that as a block. I'm kind of supposed to do that anyway. I just like to skip it sometimes. Oh, put that in the wrong spot. I know how to write code. It goes here. Else if. So this is if drill extending is false. So we have just passed this point. We've set this to false. So now we want to check if piston dot current position equals piston dot min limit. Okay, this needs to be a little bit more than that. We also need and elevation piston dot current position equals elevation piston dot max limit. So we're only going to extend if the elevation piston is at its fully extended position. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it's fully extended, it's just fully extended as in as far as it's set to extend at the moment. Then we'll push out. So here we're going to say if piston.current position equals, got to test it, not set it. And same here, wow. So if piston current position equals piston min limit, I don't know that I necessarily need this right now, but just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. And drill is not extending, so in other words, we've gotten through here, gotten all the way back now. This is the point where we need to say elevation piston dot max limit plus equals 1f. So we're going to increase the max limit of the elevation piston by 1 meter here. And we're also going to set drill extending back to true. Alright, so let's follow through this now. We're fully extended. We set to retract and say this is false. So this is not true anymore. This is not true either, because even though drill extending is false, we're not fully retracted yet. So we're going to keep going, and it's going to stay at 0.5. It's not going to do anything until it gets fully retracted. Then it's going to get here because drill extending has been set to false. The piston is fully retracted. Elevation piston max limit is going, oh, we're going to do this twice though. No, we're only going to do it once because then drill extending is going to be set to true. This is a little funky. I probably should have just used one piston as the test case. I think this will be alright, because I think it is only going to do this once because it's going to set drill extending to true, and then it's not going to be true anymore. Or it's not going to be false anymore. So this condition won't work anymore. So when we're fully retracted, and this is still false, we're going to set the elevation piston max limit to increase. So it's going to be pushing down now, and we're also going to set drill extending to true. So then we're going to come back in the next time. This is still not going to be true because we're fully retracted. But then this is not going to be true because we're in the process of extending, so it's not going to do anything. And this condition is not going to be met because drill extending is now true. So eventually we're going to come back in here when the elevation piston has reached its new max limit, and then it's going to start extending the piston again, and then it's going to continue doing nothing until we hit the max limit again. So okay, I think that's it. I think we got it. It started the drill back up. Those pistons are retracting like they're supposed to. I'm going to get out and watch this so we can see it happening up close. Now it's pushing down. And now those are pushing back out again, slowly. At least they should be. Looks like they are. Can't rightly tell. Yeah, they're going. I mean, I got out of range of the keypad. Alright, so I think that's working. In order to help me tell if it's working, I'm going to add some status outputs here that I'm eventually going to want to put on the display panel anyway. Controller. Cargo's filling up. So that's doing what it's supposed to do. Anyway, what I want to do is in the update drills, I'm going to echo retracting. Here I am going to echo drilling. Here I'm going to echo advancing. That makes sense. Yeah, that'll do. So it's not actually going to tell us anything right now because it doesn't do intermediate. It only alerts us when it changes what it's doing, which is a little bit imperfect. But these are at 3.1 right now and continuing their way out. This is at 6, which I think is correct. I think I had it at 5 before. That's how far I had gotten. Anyway, it's not doing it all the time, so that's a good sign. How we doing on cargo? 47, 48,000. Yep, so that's keeping track. All our stone is being pulled out automatically right now because the mega miner refinery is running. It's kind of turning on and off every time it gets a little bit of stone. Let's see, how difficult would it be to get appropriate status information in here? Else if drill extending echo extending. Not necessarily though. Well, hold on, it should be doing this, I think. It should be doing this one. It should be echoing drilling every time. And I'm not sure why it isn't. Shouldn't it? Should be doing it twice. So if drill extending, you know what? Just temporarily. False. Why is that false? That should be true, shouldn't it? No, because I'm resetting it every time. Every time I click OK, I reset it. That's a little bit problematic. Alright, so let's address that. I think this has to be public. Void save. Storage equals drill extending new. Alright, so it should be preserving the state now between calls and when I recompile and mess with the code. Should be reversing any minute here. Retracting. But it only displays it for the one tick. Now this is supposed to be false now. It wasn't before, but I didn't change it. Advancing. Now we're true. And it should say drilling. It should continue to say drilling because this is going to stay true until we're fully extended. Okay, perfect. Now it's doing what it's supposed to do. Hopefully it will continue doing what it's supposed to do. Because it should be coming in here every time now because the elevation piston is going to stay at its max limit until drilling extended gets set to false, and then we're going to stop this. So, no. What do we want to do now? Else if not drill extending echo, retracting. Else if, no, we can just say else, echo, advancing. Alright, so if we get to this point and drill extending is false, that means we only got here because we haven't hit the min limit yet. We're not retracting, or we didn't start retracting anyway. Although it might come in here because we're in the middle of retract. Well, yeah, it comes in here and we're in the middle of the retracting. It's supposed to. That's what it's supposed to do. But if we get here, it's because we did get to this point, but drill extending is true, so we're advancing. So that should be right. We'll see. It still says drilling because it saved the state like it was supposed to. I should be outputting the piston positions here. And I should also be doing something to make sure that that only displays once. I know I'm running very long. This is the final test. As long as this is working the way I think it should be working, we're going to be done here. So this will be fully automated now. We'll be able to fly away and it will continue drilling without wasting resources by drilling when it's not actually able to fill up anymore. That will take some time to actually test though. It may not even actually be testable in this hole right now without rebuilding the drill heads. We'll see. But there's a safeguard there, so like it shouldn't overfill. And it will manage the process of extending and retracting those radial pistons and moving down the elevation piston on its own. So it won't just sit idle when the radial pistons get all the way out. I don't have to worry about precisely timing the speed of the elevation and radial pistons so that they are kind of corkscrewing down appropriately. And it's all relatively simple and straightforward. And these are doing zero output because it's all running purely off of battery. It's actually running the refinery off of this battery too, which is not ideal, but it shut up that no fuel warning for the last hour. So there's that. So I'm probably going to do this in between episodes, but I want to output at least most of the status information, well, at least this and one of these, not both of them, to the one of the text surfaces on the programming block itself, because these displays are functional now as well. So I can have the large display, show text and images, and I can have the code do that and update that appropriately to show the current cargo usage and the state. And I also am going to have it show the position of the various pistons, both radial and elevation. I don't care about the rotor position. I mean, that's there. We can get that. We can pull that if we want it, but we don't. We don't really need that. It does not matter. Oh, I should probably handle the condition when this gets to the max there. I'll stick something in there for that too, to basically tell it to retract and stay retracted and retract everything and stay retracted. When it gets to the full 10 meters here, because I mean you can't extend, like you can't get it to 11 meters, that's not a thing. It's going to try to do that though, and I don't know how it'll handle that. want to try to add 1 to it when it's already at 10. That might cause an issue. But so far this is doing what it's supposed to do. I can get rid of this. It should preserve state, so it still says drilling. Yep. That save method's useful. I haven't used that until last episode when I did it with the mega miner to save the state there. Definitely a good thing. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and stick that in the echo for this one at least. Cool. So now we can see the state of the program and the position of the pistons at the same time, along with the cargo. Isn't that nice? So now this should flip to retracting. Then this should go out to 8. These should stay at 0 until that's done. And those are pushing out again. We're drilling. Perfect. All right, that's it. Subscribe to see what happens next. In the next episode, this has been the second scripting tutorial in a row, so we'll try to figure out something else interesting to do. I think we'll probably build a welding ship. I think that makes sense to build a small grid welding ship to help us with our remaining construction tasks, of which there are many, on the space industrial complex. So we will build a small welding ship, small grid welding ship. It'll be decent size, I think, probably, but it'll be small grid. Um, but yeah, so that's our next goal. I think we'll do that in the next episode. Is do that. I might do some more tinkering on this script in between episodes. So I'll review that the next scripting tutorial we do. I'll at least take a look at it and show you what I've done. I'm not sure what the next scripting tutorial will be. Maybe some kind of inventory management, but that'll be done back at the Space Industrial Complex, or possibly on the Mega Miner. Either way, we'll figure out something to do. Probably be inventory management. Which particular, you know, script we modify to do that is to be determined. But yeah, so subscribe to see that. Likes, comments, and verbal abuse are welcome. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.